Well, Biden can't say he supports asylum seekers anymore as he continues to push for punishments of asylum seekers trying to get into the United States. I mean, if the United States makes it impossible for these people to seek legal asylum in the United States, how are they gonna be able to get it?
President Biden will roll out new restrictions for asylum seekers later on today as tensions escalate at the borders. Under the new rules, people who cross the border illegally will be banned from entering the U.S. for 5 years and could face felony charges.
So Biden is wanting to give these people felonies for trying to seek asylum. That is messed up.
It replaces Title 42, a pandemic era policy that expires at midnight. Manuel Bojorquez is in El Paso. Manny, good morning.
Good morning to you. Authorities have been surveying the streets of El Paso, and Border Patrol agents have been urging migrants to turn themselves in to Border Patrol processing centers. You can see many are sleeping in encampments like this, and there are fears about what's to come. The crackdown in
It's sad that's how we treat people, force them to live on the streets. The government wants them to turn themselves in for what? So that they can be kicked out of the United States back into a nation where they're facing violence? Why?
downtown El Paso has already begun. Law enforcement and city officials have been clearing out street encampments where thousands of migrant men, women, and children have had to sleep for days as nearby shelters like the Sacred Heart Church remain at capacity.
Where's all these mega churches? Aren't where are they to help these people with their, billions of dollars? Uh, aren't they supposed to care about the foreign, the poor, the destitute, those looking for help?
I can't go back to where I came from because they could kill my son.
Gregorio Felipe fled Guatemala with his 5-year-old son Isidro. He said he was being extorted and was told if he didn't pay the money, they would kill him and his son.
And and Biden wants to send these people back to nations where they're gonna die and their kids are gonna die. Like, how can Biden say he cares about asylum seekers or people or human rights or anything like that? And where are the Republicans? I thought they cared about kids. Why aren't they helping out these people whose kids may be murdered?
He had to leave his 3 other kids and wife behind. Border Patrol handed out flyers like this, urging migrants to check in at border processing centers or face arrest and other penalties.
They told us they were going to give us legal documents.
Many, like 23-year-old Aidele Gonzalez from Venezuela, heeded the warning and stood in line. She told us she was kidnapped by cartel members at the U.S.-Mexico border and held for 5 days.
It's going to be.
Wow. And the harder Biden makes it for these people to get into the United States, the worse it is going to be for them by these people looking to prey upon people trying to get into the United States.
Chaotic for a while.
While the Biden administration has been planning for the end of Title 42, states along the border bracing for a sudden increase in border crossings are taking action. Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott sent nearly 600 more National Guard troops to beef up the border. And in Arizona, Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs is sending millions of dollars to the southern border to support operations.
How about sending the National Guard and funding so that, these people can get some housing and stuff and get, transported around to where they need to go, get them legal documents so that they become citizens and get some actual, good protections and become, just American citizens looking to work here. That's all they want. They just want to come to a nation where they can, live a life and not have to worry about being murdered by a cartel member or getting kidnapped.
Back here in El Paso, officials who are already struggling to house migrants in shelters are dealing with an influx of uncertainty.
And I'm scared just because of the sheer number of people that could potentially be involved.
Later this morning, the head of the Department of Homeland Security is set to inform the public about the Biden administration's new policies, including those asylum restrictions the ACLU already says will be challenged in federal court.
Yeah, because the uh, laws against asylum seekers is illegal under UN law, international law, and US law.
Anne Marie?
Well, Manny, Title 42 is going away, but it certainly seems like this new asylum policy, I mean, it's pretty tough too. Under Title 42, if you were deported and came back, there really wasn't a penalty for kind of coming back over and over again, but it's a significant penalty under this new asylum policy.
That's right. So the Biden administration, the shift seems to be in enforcement, in trying to deter illegal crossings into the country. They have also said that they have extended additional legal avenues for people who are seeking asylum in the United States. And they're going to set up processing centers in Latin America. That's the plan, where people can apply for asylum there. So they're trying to prevent people from.
I don't know. I wonder why they're playing this music now. But what Biden wants to do is make people apply for asylum in nations that they're in.
Coming to the border and illegally crossing, or at least presenting themselves to ports of entry, which some have done as they seek asylum as well.
Somebody enjoying the national anthem in the wee hours of the morning there behind you, Manny.
That's right.
Yeah. So the ACLU, as you mentioned, already plans to file a lawsuit. What are the biggest concerns?
I think for the ACLU, they look at this as limiting asylum access to the United States as a violation of international law, but they're also looking at, for example, if these migrants have to claim asylum in Mexico, as you know, and we're hearing from migrants themselves that the situation in Mexico isn't really any better for them. They're extorted. There are cartels and smugglers that are giving them misinformation. There are kidnappings, as you heard in the piece. So that's another of the concerns that the ACLU will have.
And this is something that Trump wanted to do, make asylum seekers get asylum in the nations that they're traveling through. Uh, Biden was against it. Stephen Miller created it, created the bill that Trump tried to pass. Well, I mean, it did get passed, struck down by the courts. Um, so, Biden basically wants to use a law created by a Nazi because this dude is a corporate Democrat and he's racist.
When it comes to the new Biden policies, which again will be addressed later today.
And of course, you are in El Paso. We heard that there was going to be, a crackdown, particularly in El Paso, on migrants that are here in this country illegally. What can you tell us? What have you been seeing? What does this crackdown look like?
Well, so far, it's been rather peaceful, amicable, if you will, with agents doing nothing more than coming around, surveying, asking people if they have the right documents, for example, after being processed by those Border Patrol processing centers. And they're handing out those flyers basically saying, look, if you want to stay in the country and seek asylum, you have to do it the right way. Otherwise, you will be deported or arrested. We haven't seen.
Okay, let's make it easier for these people to get asylum. And they're already in the United States. Let them get asylum. Um, don't make them try to get asylum in some third nation first. That's just dumb. These people are here. Just give them help.
Anything as far as any scuffles or anything like that. The shelters here are working really hard to ensure that things remain peaceful. And the Customs and Border Protection statement that was out yesterday about the operation referenced that they wouldn't necessarily be going to shelters or churches and doing those operations, really just focusing on the streets.
So I just got to ask you about the music, because it is very early in the morning to be playing music quite that loud. I see kind of the encampment behind you. Do you know who's playing the music and if they're doing it sort of deliberately?
This is someone who is not really part of this encampment or the church behind us, I believe, someone who may be trying to heckle us, actually, but we'll continue to report despite that.
I know you will, Manny, because you're a professional. Thank you very much.